Welcome back to Onshape. Today we're going to learn another basic modeling skill, and this is called a loft. A loft is when we go from one profile to another profile following a path. So it can be a straight line, it can be an arc, it can be a lot of different things. Today we're going to do a loft that goes through 3 different profiles and changes shape. Very similar to an extrusion, except the shape can change as you loft up, and you'll see that today. So let's get started. We're going to make a new sketch, a new part, a new sketch, and we're going to use millimeters for our units. So let's get going. All right, we're going to start this new part. And here it is. I've called it loft sample, and I'm going to go ahead and set my workspace units to millimeters. And I'll use grams. We're going to sketch. On the top plane, I'll come over here to click my top plane, hit the N key. We're going to start out with this basic shape. We're going to make a center rectangle and then put 2 arcs on it. So I'll grab that center rectangle, drop it, pull it out, hit my escape key. I'm going to grab a center rectangle, 3-point arc right here. Click once on the left side, once on the right side, and I'll just pull it up a little bit. Hit my escape key. I'll use the A letter to grab another arc, end point, pull the arc down. Hit the escape key. Now I need to apply some constraints to these two, and what I want to do is I want to make them equal in size. So now they're equal in size. You'll see now the next thing I want to do is convert these top and bottom line of my rectangle into construction geometry. Okay, remember that letter Q will, if I select an item and I hit the letter Q, it'll turn it into construction geometry. So select Q. And it'll toggle back and forth. Just pick my bottom line, Q. So I've got these two as construction geometry. Next thing I want to do is I want to choose my fillet tool. And what I'm going to choose for my fillet here is I'm going to fillet this corner just by clicking on it, and you'll see my size is 8.5 already. Yours may not be. You can double click it and change it. I'm going to go through and select each one of these corners. Once I've set the size, it will repeat the size. So if it says can't add sketch fillet, I'm not picking the right thing here. So I can pick the corner, or what I can also do is choose my 2 sides that I'm actually working on. And by that I mean I can select my fillet between my 2 points, or my 2 lines rather, right there, and it'll put it in. So they're all 8.5. I missed this one up here. Let me get to that one. So now I'm filleted all the way around. Deselect my fillet tool. Apparently I messed that up. Fillet, and I'll go ahead and go this line to that line. Fillet it. 8.5. Got to hit my enter key, sorry. Enter key, there we go. Now I've got my fillet. I did not select this line down here as a construction geometry, so let me do that in Q. Got my construction geometry. And there we are. Next up, we're going to rename this as the bottom profile before they save the sketch and put the dimensions 100 by 40. So I'll grab my dimension tool, and I'll start out with my biggest dimension, which is the side-to-side length of this line right here. I'm going to make that 100. We're going to make the radius on this 200. Should be equal top and bottom. Pull that back into view a little bit better. And then the distance top to bottom as 40. And that fully defines our sketch. We're going to exit this sketch, but first what we're going to do is we're going to rename this. And this is going to be our bottom profile. Hit my check mark. Now to make the middle profile of this, I need to put a new top plane in, and it's going to be offset 50 millimeters from the top plane. So let's look at how we do that. So the plane button is right up here in the middle of your toolbar. Plane. You can also search for it if you want to. We'll go ahead and drop a new plane in, And it's going to ask me how I want to do that. So the entity that I'm going to base it upon is going to be my top plane. So I can click on top plane there. And I'm going to offset at a distance of 50 millimeters. Now while I'm here, I'm going to give it a name. And I'm going to call this the middle plane, or middle profile, just to make it easy. As we look at it, you'll see that it's offset up right there. So now I've got that plane in there, and there's its name, just like the instructions say. Okay, our next object, we're going to draw an ellipse up here. It's called an ellipse, that squashed circle, on that middle plane. So we're going to start a new sketch. I'm going to choose the middle profile plane right there. I'm going to hit the N key to go normal to it. And now I'm going to choose my ellipse tool. Now the ellipse tool is under the circle tool. There we have it. So first I'm going to drop the center of my ellipse, and then I'm going to drop the orientation right here. So I'm going to drop it so it's horizontal, kind of like it's shown. And now I can pull it up and down and squash it more or less. I'm just going to leave it approximately inside so it looks like the instruction. And now we're going to apply some dimensions. So this long side, that's called the major axis. The short side is called the minor axis. Our major axis is horizontal, 80 by 45. Grab my dimension tool, and I'll go ahead and dimension it. So here we have 45 for my minor axis. Then I'll click on my top two lines with my dimension tool, the top of the arc and the bottom of the arc. Right here, either one, drop that, and that will be 80. Got my ellipse. Okay, that looks pretty good. So now we're going to do a top profile plane, and we're going to go ahead and choose an offset from the top plane of 125 millimeters. Same thing. So I'm going to exit that sketch. This is my middle profile. Hit my check mark. And now you'll see I've got these two sketches. I'm going to do another one of these plane offsets. Choose it off of the top plane. I can either choose it out of the tree here or off the drawing, doesn't really matter. This time my offset though is 125. And now you'll see I've got this plane. I forgot to name it up here, so I can click right here and I can rename it by right clicking. This is going to be my top profile plane. Hit my return key, sketch on that top profile plane. Hit N, and now I'm normal to it. So there I've got my top profile in here. And now I'm going to go ahead and sketch a circle on the top profile, dimension that at 40. So grab my circle tool, center point circle or a C, click on the origin, drop it, dimension it at 40. And you can see that I want to rename this top profile now. So we'll again click up here, click on my little pencil. It's going to be my top profile. There it is. It told me it didn't regenerate properly, and I'm not sure why. There we go. Apparently I trashed my top profile on it. Okay, so now I've got those three sketches in 3 dimensions. Looks kind of like that. So we're going to loft between those sketches next. Now this is kind of an important idea. And the profiles, we're going to go from the bottom to the middle to the top. That matters because what it does is tries to make a smooth transition between these here. So it's going to go from this rectangular shape to the oval to the circle. If I went in a different order, it would get me some fairly unpredictable results. So that's my Loft tool right there. So let's go do that. So you'll see I've got these oriented. I'm going to choose like this right side up here of the profile as I select these. So I'm going to choose my Loft tool right here. And if I hover over it, it gives me some instructions. And I could also use a guide curve for this. We're not doing that today. So it says the profile. So let's start at the bottom right here. I'm just going to click on the right side of the bottom. Now I'm going to choose the right side of my mid profile, and you'll see it preview, and then the right side of my top profile. So now what we're going to do that we have our loft done is we're going to go ahead and rename that. We'll call it bottle. So here I am. I select my loft. And we're going to rename our part. I can right click down here and go rename and call it bottle. We want to select a plastic for this, and the plastic we're going to use is HDPE. So right here, HDPE. So as we go down and select our material, if we start typing in HDPE, it'll find it for us. So again, I right click on bottle, assign material. I'm going to use the Onshape library, and I just click in here and select HDP, and it shows up. Select it, hit the check mark, it applies it. Now we'll go ahead and check the mass. So I select the bottle and then select my mass icon. You'll see I get 314.212. Go ahead and flip out here, do my self-check, 314.212, and voila, got it good. Thanks for watching.